Good morning. We are continuing with our reading of the Rite of Saul, and we just got started with it yesterday. Uh, just to refresh your memory, this is what the temple looks like right now, or the stage. Uh, we've got a veil there, and behind that veil sits the sun, or Saul himself, the god Saul, enthroned with a leopard skin. Now, Saul will never say a word throughout this entire ritual. As a matter of fact, through much of the ritual, you don't even see Saul, because Saul is behind that veil. Now, behind there, where my finger is, there's also another veil, and that conceals a big red cross, but we're not talking about that yet. But anyway, and sitting in front are the two officers, and they're sort of like a comedy team. There's Leo and Ares, uh, and we discussed why Leo and Ares are officers there. So this is where we are right now. We've warmed up with somebody reading a 963 12-fold glorification of God. Leo recited the chorus from Atlanta in Caledon, and Brother Ares and Leo, just like in a Masonic temple opening, describe where they are. What is the place? It's the temple of the sun upon the mountain of Abiagnos. So, if we put this in objective terms, these two guys, Ares and Leo, are guarding a sacred temple on top of a mountain. And pilgrims visit, but it's their job to protect the. So that's where we are right now. Leo sat down, Ares sat down, they're twiddling their thumbs, waiting for sunset. Enters Scorpio Apophis, dressed in a filmy white robe, her hair in disorder. Ares and Leo get up, they rise, and they bow. Ares says, "Hail thou, whence comest thou?" Scorpio Apophis answers, "From the house of God." Now, I got to pause here for a second. The ritual just before this was Mars, okay? They're coming from the Mars ritual. The house of God is also the name of the Tower card in the tarot, which is the Mars card. So they come from an explosive environment of the tree of life. Remember, we're coming down the tree of life in these rituals. Whence comest thou? From the house of God. Ares asks, what bringest thou as an offering to our Lord? She answers, the house of God is fallen. There is nothing left therein. Therefore I bring nothing but myself. Then Leo gets up and says, well, let's burn her upon the altar of burnt offering. Scorpio Apophis says, but in the fire my tears would be dried up, and these tears are of mine offering to the Lord. Then Leo thinks and says, let's throw her to the sacred crocodile. Okay, from sacrifice of fire to sacrifice of water. Let us throw her to the sacred crocodile. She answers, but in the water my heart would be chilled, and this heart is of mine offering to the Lord. Leo says, let us throw her to the winds from the watchtowers of silence. She answers, but in the winds my hymns would not be heard, and these hymns are of mine offering to the Lord. Finally, Leo says, let us bury her in the consecrated mountain. So we've got fire, water, air, earth there. She says, but in the earth, the worms would devour my flesh, and this flesh is of mine offering to the Lord. And she dresses the son behind the veil directly. O Lord, let thy servants return into their thrones, that I may worship thee as I will. And then from behind the veil, Saul responds with a knock. Aries and Leo return to their thrones. Scorpio, Apophis, whips out her violin in the case of Layla Waddell, or in the case of modern things, there's a song or there's a music or something, but in the original, she plays her passionate melody, her siren melody, her despairing Venus and Tannhäuser melody. She clasps the feet and knees of Saul, but he gives no sign of life. Obviously, Saul has been revealed. Okay, we're seeing him. The veil has been drawn up until this point. Sorry. At the end, Aries and Leo get up from their throne, rise from their thrones. There's a pause because, okay, she plays her Venus, her Wagnerian sensual music at the feet of the god Saul, but he's not responding to her. He knocked to say, let her in. But then she plays her melody and falls passionately at his feet. But he still doesn't respond. And so Aries and Leo look around and say, well, she's had enough. Let's get her out of here. So Aries loudly knocks, and Leo loudly knocks. Aries says, the hour of sacrifice is past. Scorpio Apophis says, the hour of sacrifice is to come. Leo says, the sacrifice is not accepted. Scorpio Apophis says, the sacrifice is accepted. Aries says, depart from us, thou unclean thing. Aries and Leo raise her, and march from the temple. Aries and Leo following her. They kick her off the stage. Aries and Leo re-enter and resume their thrones. In that Bandito version of where we did it in Bandito drag, we did it at the home of Judy and Steve Abbott, and they had wonderful French doors that in their living room that opened out to a swimming pool. And Steve and I, who were the Aries and Leo, and Judy was Scorpio Apophis that year, we marched her out the side door and threw her in the pool. Okay, they resumed to their thrones and pause. And Steve and I, as Aries and Leo, had a bottle of tequila that we passed back and forth while we did this next section. Aries knocks. Leo knocks. Aries says, "Brother Leo, this is of evil omen." Leo says, "Brother Aries, it is indeed of evil omen." Aries says, "There will be no more sacrifice today." Leo says, "There will be no more sacrifice today." Aries, "The sun is already setting." Leo says, "The night birds are already abroad." Aries, "It grows very dark." Leo says, "The path is too steep and dangerous for any pilgrims to come hither." Aries says, "There is no moon tonight." Leo says, I think there'll be rain." Aries says, "Let's close the shrine." And Leo says, "The disk of the sun is not yet quite obscured." Aries says, "But no pilgrims can come now." Leo says, "No pilgrims can come now, but it is the rule of the temple that the shrine is open until the last spark of sunlight." Aries says, "Brother Leo, I beg that you will close the shrine with me." Leo says, "It cannot be." Aries says, "Brother Leo, I know the rule, but evil will assuredly come to us from this." Leo says, "Brother Aries, the law may not be broken." Aries, "Brother Leo, the law is made so that the wise may break it at their need." Leo says, "Brother Aries, in my heart is fidelity, fidelity, fidelity." Aries says, "Brother Leo, a god has whispered in my ear, it is folly, folly, folly." Then Leo looks around. "The sun will be obscured in a moment, and no pilgrims can come tonight." Aries, "No pilgrims can come tonight." Leo, "There'll be no more sacrifice." Aries, "There'll be no more sacrifice." Now, Satan Typhon, Scorpio, we haven't seen him yet, Scorpio Apophis, fresh from the swimming pool, and Bez now enter silently in procession. The stage light grows momentarily dimmer. Aries says, "Hail, brethren! Ye are come to adore the splendor of the sun?" Satan Typhon says, "We are come to sacrifice." Aries says, "What are the offerings?" And wild and crazy Bez says, "Dancing." And Scorpio Apophis says, "Music." And Satan Typhon says, "Silence and stillness." And he prostrates himself and remains motionless. So Satan Typhon, after saying silence and stillness, falls down on his face. Scorpio Apophis bows to Saul and plays an adoration on her violin. Bez dances in adoration in three time, a waltz. Satan Typhon now rises and bows. Aries questions him, "Whence come ye, brethren?" Satan Typhon, "From the dwelling place of the sun." "Who are ye, brethren?" Aries asks. Satan Typhon, "I am the twin brother of the sun." Scorpio Apophis says, "I am the beloved of the sun." Then Aries turns to Bez and says, "But who art thou, brother?" Bez begins to stammer. Leo says, "Who art thou?" and then they threaten him with spears. And Bez crouches in terror and lurks toward the west. Satan Typhon says, I would have speech with my brother, the sun. And Ares says, yeah, it is well. And Leo jumps up and says, it is not well. There is danger here to my lord. He bars the way. Ares says, speech cannot harm our lord. Leo, brother, if thou indeed be our brother, what wilt thou say? And Satan Typhon says, O son, my brother, is it thy will that I have speech with thee? For I lay with thee 9 moons in the womb of our mother, for we have loved as none have loved. For I am closer knit with thee than light and darkness, or of life and death. Saul responds and knocks. Leo gives way and returns to his throne, very sad. Satan Typhon advances to Saul, and Ares closes the veil on them. Bez jumps up and runs crouchingly. The lights go out, and Scorpio Apophis plays her serpent melody, is what they say here. Now, this is pretty weird. Okay, these shady characters have talked their way into the shrine of the sun, and the veil is pulled. We don't know what they're doing back there. And Leo is bummed out. And he recites this poem. It's a Crowley poem, a very short one from The World's Tragedy. Mortals never learn from stories how catastrophe becomes, how above the victor's glories and the trumpets and the drums and the cry of millions master looms the shadow of disaster. Every hour a man has said, that at least is scotched and dead. Some one circumstance. At last that and its effects are past. Someone terror, subtle foe. I have laid that spectre low. They know not, learn not, cannot calculate how subtly fate weaves its fine mesh, perceiving how to wait, or how accumulate the trifles that shall make it master yet of the strong will that bade itself forget. Boy, that's a timely one. Okay. A dim red light, stage light dawns. Bez enters, leading 4 probationers who bear the pastos, a coffin. They place it before the altar. Ares jumps up. What is this offering? And Bez says, the eater of flesh is my name. That freaks him out. Ares, oh, our Lord, arise in thy might and let thine enemies be scattered. Then Ares and Leo draw the veil. They see that the altar has been cast down, and on the very, very, very back veil, right in back of the sun there, okay, let's see here, on the black veil is a great red cross, whereon Saul has been crucified. Before him stands Satan Typhon in the sign of Apophis and Typhon. Ares and Leo fall as if slain. Scorpio Apophis plays her murder melody. Meanwhile, the probationers advance, and under the direction of Typhon, who stabs Saul in the proper manner. That's like the centurion stabbed Jesus. With the spear of Saul, they take Saul down from the cross and lay him in the pastos. They cover it. And then Bez does his brutal demonic dance upon the lid of the coffin. And everybody exits. Well, Ares and Leo are still flat on their face, freaked out and fainted, some guys. Saul is in the coffin. Then everybody else leaves. And we just may. Okay, then there's complete darkness, stage darkness. Then there's a flash of light, and the stage is shown empty, only a glimmer remains. Now Scorpiopophis steals onto the stage and plays a low, secret melody. The red lights increase. She uncovers and embraces the corpse, then covers it again, and goes to the throne and installs herself thereon. Okay, remember the house of God had fallen at the beginning here? So that's Mars. Saul has fallen. The next right will be Venus. And Scorpiopophis has played the dynamics of the Sol to Venus descent. Now, she knocks 7 times for Netzach, the next one. The probationers and other officers, they enter erect. And I think in this case, Crowley really means that they're just standing up. Scorpiopophis says, "Children, array yourselves before me and worship at my feet." And Ares says, "Our Lord is slain, and who art thou that has assumed his throne?" And Leo says, "Our Lord is slain, and who art thou that has assumed his throne?" And Scorpiopophis says, "I am the mother of the gods, and the sister of time, and the daughter of space. I am nature that holds the sway when the effort of man is exhausted." Wow. I'm going to say that again. I am nature that holdeth sway when the effort of man is exhausted. Brother Leo, I am the goddess that cometh forth riding upon the lion. Behold, I strike thee with my wand and inspire thee. I command thee to declare me unto the multitudes. And Leo then recites a very, very long poem, Crowley's Nature, from his epic poem, the Orpheus. Now, technically speaking, Crowley was probably had this poem memorized, and he certainly could do it with great panache. And Layla probably felt, Layla who played Apophis Typhon here, or Scorpiopophis here, probably would have preferred not to actually do this in the premiere performance. So she inspires Leo, who was Crowley, to do it, or another officer to do it. And it's very, very long, and but it's actually she who should be reciting this poem. And Constance does this incredibly incredibly wonderful. It's very long. It's too long for me to uh, uh, read the whole thing to you right now uh, because we're almost through. But it starts off, "Lo, in the interstellar space of night, clothed with deep darkness, the majestic spaces abide the dawn of deity and light. Vibrate before the passionless pale faces shrined in exceeding glory eremite. The tortoise skies and somber carapaces await the expression in the hour of birth in silence through the adamantine girth. I rose in glory, gathered to the foam." Does this look familiar, like the Botticelli Venus on the half shell? "I rose in glory, gathered of the foam, the seas flower folded, charioting me, risen where dawn rose stole from its pearl glimmering home. And heaven laughed, and earth, in mine old prison, the seas that lay beneath the mighty dome, shone with my splendor. Light did first bedizen earth with its clusters of fiery dew and spray, when I looked forth and cried, it is the day." Okay, I'm going to skip to the very end because she itemizes all the things that nature is. And she closes, I am not, but all changing, move the worlds evolving in a golden ladder, spiral or helical, fresh gusts of love filling one sphere from the last sphere grown gladder. All gateways lead far to the above, even as the bright coils of the emerald adder climb one by one in glory of sunlight. Climb, my children, up to me, up the steep of time. I am. Before me all years are dead, and all fiery locks of sunrise woven into the gold and scarlet of my head. In me all skies and seas are shaken and cloven, all life and light and love about me shed, begotten in me, in my moven, are as my tears all worlds that ever swam as dew of kisses on my lips. I am. And there's that one line, nature. I am nature and God, I reign. I am alone, none other may abide apart, they perish. Drawn into me in my being grown, none other bosom is, to bear, to nourish, to be. The heart of all beneath my zone of blue and gold is scarlet bright to cherish my own life's being. That is and is not other, for I am God and nature and thy mother. And to tell you the truth, when this ritual is done, that last speech just blows your mind. And you're ready for the rite of Venus. But anyway, after that, Leo draws up to her, and the others kneel in adoration. Scorpiopophis plays her soft, voluptuous melody. Aries says, Brother Leo, what is the hour? Leo says, the evening star has arisen. Aries, the sacrifice is accomplished. Leo, what is the sacrifice? Aries says, man. Who is the priestess? Aries says, woman. Leo says, unto what God? Aries answers, it is hidden from me. Leo says, let every man depart into his house. Aries knocks. Leo knocks. Scorpio Apophis knocks. And that's the rite of Saul. Tomorrow we start chapter 12, Thelemic Orders. We'll talk a little bit about the OTO and the AA. Again, the book is The Magick of Aleister Crowley, Handbook of the Rituals of Thelema. Continue to have a very good week, everyone. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.